10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hey, everybody. Oh, my goodness. Happy holidays and welcome to another episode of the CFAA Film Talk. This is the webcast where we try and keep everybody connected, talk about what's happening in our industry, and bring you some information and people and connections that you wouldn't be able to make otherwise. So we're very happy to have you here. This will be the last webcast of the year. If you have missed any of our previous webcasts with all of our incredible guests, they are on our website. They're housed and archived there, as well as on our YouTube channel. So whether it is pre-production or acting or anything else that we have covered in the last 2 years, please take a look at it. And if you have ideas for topics you'd like to see covered or people that you would like to meet or whatever the case may be, reach out to us and let us know that. So just to get started, I'm super excited. We have worked together only from the standpoint of we recognize each other as someone who really is giving to this community, and I reach out to Sally Forcier for all things when it comes to planning and strategy and ideas to grow the film community here in Sacramento and the surrounding regions. Sally Forcier has had a casting company and production company for many years now. I want to say 20. Anyway, she'll give us some details on that. What we're doing tonight is a little bit different because we've had her in as an interview when we were talking to other people. But now we have Sally actually giving us a sample, not a sample, a free class that's very specific that is going to help everybody understand the importance of what you need to know when you're going into an audition, acting tips that will help you make the most of those opportunities, and the simple acting techniques. I'm going to go into the detail that she's written because I'm not an actor. Simple acting techniques that'll help get you noticed and booked. Sally's been casting for over 21 years. That was right. From small commercials and films to major productions. And one thing is certain, every casting is different. So how does the actor prepare? With some simple tips and steps to keep your auditions on point. You'll gain insight and direction to help get you booked. This is the whole point. If you're going to take the time and pursue this career field, you want to do it right. So I'm glad that you're here because this is an informative and insightful interview. Sally is always interested, and she's devoted to seeing Sacramento and Northern California talent get booked. And to grow this workforce and to grow this industry. So her influence is felt here in Sacramento so many different ways. I love bringing this information. She started her on-camera career and quickly moved to working for her agent prior to starting her own casting business, of course, Forcier Casting. We soon have added in production. She's thrilled to watch actors obtain the confidence needed in castings and teaches acting techniques with a unique perspective from casting and producing. You'll gain insight of what the difference is in auditions and how to create strong characters and to understand the script as well as what to expect in auditions. Seriously, you guys, instructions like this are priceless. And it will help you shine under the pressure. And auditions are pressure, but it's like, remember a diamond. If it wasn't for pressure, it'd be a lump of coal. So anyway, with no further ado, Sally's going to come on. She's got some people that she's going to introduce to us that she's connecting with that are working with her company as well. Thank you again, Sally, for joining us. And she is... Yay, there you are. Hi.
Hello, everybody. It's great to be here. Hi, Lori.
Hi, love. How are you
I'm
doing?
great. So good to see you. I just wish it was in person, but soon enough, right?
No, I know. I can practically, you know, hit you with a rock from here because now we're both living in the same
We're
area and
neighbors.
on the same side of town, and so we got to take advantage of that.
That's right.
Um, but for now, we're doing everything that we can, and I am really interested in getting caught up with you because I've noticed that you've had a lot of castings recently, and I'm putting out information to our database. So if any of you
Yes.
watching this tonight have not seen
Thank you.
those casting notices, go to Sally's website, go to the Facebook page for the CFAA, catch up with what she's casting for because those are happening quick.
Often. Oh my gosh, we're totally been like catching up for not working for almost a year, right? I mean, I had a few castings in 2020, but very little. I think I can count on one hand, and it's usually several hands.
Yeah.
So it's good. It's really good to be back and busy and working and putting actors to work. Thank you for that wonderful bio. You did a great job setting it up. I am very passionate, like you said, in helping. For those who don't know me and or don't already know this fun fact, is I am very passionate about helping actors get connected to jobs, and it's even more exciting to see Sacramento become more on the map and more you know in the state of like the understanding that there is a talent here, because so for so long that wasn't the case. I mean, you and me and many key players here in Sacramento have been fighting for that stigma of, hey, Sacramento's got talent, don't tell us we don't, because there are actors, there are crew. So it's exciting to see the work coming and actors getting booked, and I'm constantly thrilled to it never gets old to call a talent and say, hey, you got booked, they want to hire you. It's a very exciting process for us in casting.
Cool. Yeah, I love it. I love it. I'm seeing action, pick up a little bit. And, even though we're getting to this time of year where things kind of get wonky and slow down, I
Mhm.
have a lot of really high hopes for what we're going to be seeing in the spring once we get past all of this winter craziness. And I encourage everybody who really is wanting to pursue, whether it is acting, writing, directing, editing, um, this is the time to really hone your skills
Yep.
and really
Get
strengthen your
ready.
muscles so that you're ready and your opportunities
100%.
are going to be there. We're already and I'm going to let you get started in a minute, but I can't help but just blah blah because I'm talking for a while. Um, I was looking at some old stuff when I was cleaning out a drawer, and
Oh no.
computer. It wasn't a drawer, it was a computer. And it was paperwork from when, oh my gosh, like 2 mayors ago, that we were producing proposals to create film as an industry here in Sacramento. And so it made me really proud because on the same day I got an email from our now film commissioner uh, that we helped. I'm sorry, we helped put her in that office, but to have her producing now film grants for local and outside production, and it's again moving things. It's taken a while because, of course,
Yeah.
COVID. But to see that moving forward and to know, the work that we've done is really kind of starting to catch makes me
Yes.
so
And
happy.
you are a force. I know you tease me because I'm Forcey. Yay. You always tease me. I'm a force, but let's call a spade here, because without your dedication and driving force to doing all those RFPs and proposals and grants, and I mean, those things are hours and hours and months of work that people don't realize what you do for our community, Lori. And I can never say enough about how impressed I am with you, and getting your board and your team together to create and keep moving CFAA forward despite COVID. And I mean, you have been such a key player and an asset to our film community here. So thank you for all that
Um,
you do.
I
All that
love you for saying that, and I just appreciate seeing actual movement. Actual
Yep.
movement taking place. It just makes me know that everything we've done is, for the right reasons.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Anyway, we're here tonight because I wanted you to have the opportunity to share some of the information that we know is really critical to people coming into the acting scene, whether you're new or whether you're going on to a new kind of professional set for the very first time.
Mhm.
Do it the right way from the very beginning. So
Yes.
you can work with people as an instructor, as a private coach. You offer classes, and that's something that as we go into specific dates for those, we'll be announcing that as well for anything on our social media and website as we go.
Mhm.
But, just have the opportunity to give people this. It's our gift. That's what it
Thank
is.
you. And that's
It's our,
exactly what I was going to
our
say.
holiday gift to all
Yeah.
of you.
Yeah. Merry Christmas, everyone. No, I love that because I feel it is an opportunity for us to share what we go through in casting and how much we are vying for the actors to be ready. And it's classes like this that I love giving back because actors need to be ready. And maybe it's the I don't know what I don't know factor sometimes, because we work with extras all the way to pros. And not just here in Sacramento, but even outside San Francisco, LA. So we work with everybody of all different levels, and there's always going to be that first big audition for you actors who are watching, and we want you to be ready. We don't want you to fall on your face. I mean, I've seen it happen where people they freak out, they weren't prepared, their anxiety and nerves were out of control, so they just gave up. But if
Yeah.
you simply do things like this, sit and watch this CFAA Film Talk acting class, then you'll know. Maybe you'll get the knowledge you need to take the next step and have the faith and have the courage to walk through the next door. I mean, my whole career has been built off of being brave enough to walk through the next door. But trust me, it didn't always come easy. It was most of the time hard. But I think when you know this is what you want to do, then do it. And so tonight, I hope to review and cover some audition acting tips and techniques. Obviously, we don't have a whole lot of time, but I hope you're taking notes. I hope you have pen and paper or typing notes on your computer, because we're going to go over a lot of variables of how you can get booked more, and if you're not getting booked, why. And we're going to talk about the different casting variables. And I did want to introduce my new casting assistant that just started a few months ago, and she's amazing. So we want to definitely bring her in. But I just want to first go over a few things and show you a slide, a little bit of a slideshow presentation. I just threw this together, and keep in mind, I'm not a graphic designs person, people. Okay. This is Sally, going like this, trying to figure out how to make a presentation look nice. Now, if Lori had time with it, she'd probably make it look like amazing. But I'd like to share with you just a few slides before we bring in Haley and introduce you to her. Thank you. There we go. So what we're going to go over today is some audition acting tips and techniques for you. Let me figure out how to do it. Okay. First of all, you did a great job, Lori, but we just real quick, high level for those who are watching that don't know who I am and what we offer at Forcier Casting and Productions is we have the casting division, which our mission is putting actors to work. And then we also work, is working with production companies for film, commercial, TV, voiceover, and print. Then we have the second component to our business, the second division, if you will, is production, where I actually produce. I've produced 6 films in 4 years, in addition to a ton of social media, live, documentary, TV stuff. And when I do production, I hire up my staff, and that helps us to bring Forcier Casting into those other productions. So that helps with you at home watching. And then the coaching and the consulting, and that's where I do one-on-one consulting. If you want to learn marketing tips, I don't know where to turn, where to start. It's always best to get that knowledge so you know what you're doing and you're prepared. And then, of course, the one-on-one coaching and some specialty workshops, kind of like this, like self-taping and marketing, business stuff. So that's the services we offer as a bird's eye view. But I have one little fun phrase I'd like to tell people, and that is there's one guarantee, and that is you won't book the work if we don't know who you are or how to find you. So that goes, we're going to bring up networking and marketing a few times through here, because let's face it, you could be a brilliant actor, but if I don't know where you are or how to find you, then, and I get lucky a lot of times through social media, but it takes 10 times the amount of work. So we're going to talk more about that. So that's where the being registered with us and promoting yourself is going to be the dialogue we'll have tonight. And that is through social media. I constantly refer people to CFAA. So if you're watching tonight, I'm glad you're here. Get involved, get on Lori's email distribution list. She shares castings from all different types of resources. Mine's just one of them. And we love that. And then, of course, follow different groups on social. Facebook has Sacramento Actors, Actors Line, Bay Area. So wherever you're watching from, there's usually a group on Facebook that you can find out about those jobs that we can't do because they can't afford to hire us or whatever. So there's work to be had and to find out there. And then, of course, in addition to registering with us, you should register with SF Casting if you're willing to work in the Bay Area. And then networking. Let's face it, guys, even when it's crew, if you're a filmmaker, work begets work. Okay. And when you go to a casting, you're not looking to I'm going to land this part. No, you got to be going into it with, I'm going to meet some great people today and I'm going to network. So when you get into the casting room, you got to win the room. Let me get to meet you and see what you're capable of. Just because I don't cast you on this one, I have 30 other castings going on this year, right? So you want to win the room. Okay. So with all that being said, I want to bring in Haley, because Haley is an amazing addition to our team. She is not only my casting assistant, she's also an actor. She's got an agent and she's worked in New York. She is amazing. And you guys, she's going to be the one you'll be hearing from and talking to when I'm off running a casting or producing a film or a project. So let's bring on Haley and say hi to Haley Warta.
Welcome, Haley.
Hi. Thank you so much for having
Haley.
me.
Yes, it's good to see you, girl. How are you?
Good to see you guys too. Got the Christmas tree up already for the holidays.
Atta girl, and I'm wearing my red. And then I see Lori's got her Christmas decorations. We're all in the spirit, man. So we just want to have you take a few minutes and tell everybody a little bit about yourself, and then what you can do to encourage others about what the benefits are to being registered with Forcier Casting.
Awesome. So like they've said, my name's Haley Warta. So I actually grew up in the area. I'm from Yuba City, and then I've been acting for about 10 years now. So I started actually in the Sacramento, San Francisco community, did some work up there, down in LA. And then after high school, I went ahead and I went to the American Musical and Dramatic Academy in New York. And then while I was in New York, I did some acting work out there, and then started working at House Casting, which is a commercial casting agency out there. And I really fell in love with the casting process. And I think out there was where I really learned that casting is your friend, and working in casting, you're the biggest support system for the actor. And I really loved that. And so I moved back right before COVID hit, and I had plans to move down to LA. But then I just really fell in love with the film community in Sacramento. And I could see that it was really on the rise. And I was like, I want to be here when it takes off. So that's where I got in contact with Sally and have had so much fun working with her. She's
I'll tell you guys, incredible. She is amazing. She's tenacious, because she reached out. Of course, COVID was still kind of happening. And she sent me her resume, and I'm like, oh man, she's amazing. Like, I just could tell she'd be a great asset, but I was like, just wasn't quite ready to hire anybody on or anything. So I just follow up with me in a month. And I mean, I get hit up from other people who want to work with me, and they're gone. I never hear from them again. Haley was on it, and boy, she showed up when I needed her the most. And she's been working with me since August. And Haley, I'm so grateful to have you on our team. So I'd love for you to share a little bit about from a talent's perspective, the importance of having casting directors know who you are.
For sure. For sure. So like I was saying, casting's your friend. There's no need to be afraid. A lot of times when actors hear the phrase casting director, they immediately, your heart starts pounding and you get a little nervous, but there's absolutely no reason. Casting wants you to be good. They're your biggest support system you have. They're your cheerleaders in the room. They're going to be able to sell you to the client. And so don't be afraid of casting. We're here to help. Keep us updated with what you're doing. We always want to hear, I just booked this, or I just landed this. It's really awesome. You keep us fresh, and you keep yourselves fresh in our minds. And so then when we do have roles that come along, you're popping into our minds and we know, oh, we could place them right here, because that makes our job easier for us. So never be afraid to reach out. Keep us updated. Follow us on social media. That way we see the work that you're putting out, and you see the castings that we're putting out as well.
Yes, thank you. That's a really good feedback. I think that stigma of that they don't want to bother us is definitely there. And so one of the things that I'm noticing, even after a year of launching our new database and website, that people thought that they were registered with us before. That means they're still in our database. And that's not the case, is it? And I want you to talk to, because Haley's going to be the one managing your profile, making sure you have it, we have everything you need. So why should talent register and how easy is it?
Okay, so registering is super, super easy. You're just going to fill out some super basic questions, your name, your address, your email, and then you're just going to fill out your actor profile. So your headshot, resume, real, height, ethnicity, all that jazz. It's really important that you fill out every single question. Simply because when we do have a casting that comes along, the majority of the time, castings are really specific. So we're going to be entering things into our database, and if we're looking for a specific ethnicity or a specific skill set, if you've put that under your profile, you're going to pop up. And so one of the benefits towards like being with our database is that we have a casting come along, we check our database and we go through our database registered talent before we even post to social media or send out any mass emails. So they say early bird gets the worm. It's really, really true with our database. So very important. And then answering everything you can and making sure that your profile gives us as much information about you that you can. It's really important that your headshot is up to date. If right now, when you register for the database, say you do it immediately after this meeting, you don't have a headshot, no problem at all. Find a blank wall in your house. Have someone take a really simple photo from you from the waist up and go ahead and post that on the database just so that we have it for a couple weeks until you get your professional headshots done. Make sure your resume is on there. I think it's really important to have video footage too. More than ever, we get requests from clients that they just want to see how the actor moves. So have a monologue up there, have a commercial up there, have a scene up there. It's super easy to do. You don't have to have anything professional done. You don't have to spend hundreds of dollars towards getting a demo reel done. You can simply find that blank wall in your house, a good scene partner, a mom, dad, family friend, record it for you and get it up there so that we have as much information about you as we can so that we can then pitch you to the client.
Right. Remember, we just did a casting and that was really important that the client saw them moving on camera, right? Now that, I mean, we did a few big castings this past few months, but I'm thinking specifically we did DMV and they just needed to see movement. So anything is better than nothing. And I think Haley would appreciate it if you had something already on your profile and we didn't have to chase you down, email you, it just takes 5 more, 10 more steps. So do Haley a favor and just record something. And then, we could always talk about if you need help, you can always reach out to us and we can help film something for you. So Haley, such an asset. Thank you so much for all your hard work. When you guys email me, if I'm juggling too much, I'm going to forward it on to Haley. You might hear back from her. So any questions you have after today, please don't hesitate to reach out and just say, I have a question for Haley and I'll get it over to her. So my email will be at the end of this presentation, but any last thoughts, Haley, before you go?
Not in particular, just my biggest tip that I would give is stay in class, stay sharp. You're an athlete of portraying humanity, and just like any other athlete would need to stay in shape, you need to stay in shape in your craft as well. Every day you should be working on something to advance your career, and take advantage of this amazing community that we have here. Network, find ways to give back, and it'll give back to you.
That's awesome tips, girl.
That is such a great quote.
Well, thank you, Haley, for
Yes,
being
thank
here.
you guys so much for having
Appreciate
me
your
tonight.
time.
Yeah, of course. Yes, anytime.
All right. See you later, girl. So that was just a little intro about what we're doing on the behind the scenes. That when we're going back to the presentation here, we're going to talk about that promotion stuff, but we're also going to jump into some auditioning tips, because I know you guys have been wanting, that's why you're here. You want to know how to get better at auditioning. So my question to you would be, why do you think actors don't get booked? Go ahead and put them in the questions or the comments to Lori, and if she sees something pretty unique, she's going to call it out. But I'm going to list a few things. Number one, it could be, there's a million reasons, right? Let's face it, that why you didn't get booked. And the sad thing is we don't have time to let everybody know, sorry, you didn't get the job. That's a bummer, right? But thank you for sharing that. I love that quote, Haley. Actors are athletes of humanity.
Yeah.
Yes. I always tell people, you got to be a sponge, man. You should be paying attention every day while you're out at the restaurant, shopping, just watching people and absorbing that. That is awesome. That's a great quote. So getting back to the reasons why you're not booked, it could be a million things, but I'm going to list just a few. Because, you know, we talk about all these different things that, I mean, really, it almost seems like all the stars have to align for you to get a job. But the reality is, there are some actors who are going to be working more often and booking more often than other actors. And why is that? So it could be that you're not getting booked because you don't have the proper tools. You got to have the right headshot. You have to have the right resume, or at least a resume to show that you're constantly working or have experience. And for what Haley said, she's absolutely right. It's better just to shoot something, to have something in our profile so we can send it out there. I mean, sometimes the clients don't care, especially if it's extra work. A snapshot is fine. However, getting a professional headshot is going to rise you up to the top and make you look like the professional that you want to be. Other actors don't get booked on auditions because simply they're not prepared. I've literally, in castings, Lori, you're not going to believe this. I've had a guy I knew, because I sent it. He goes, I just got this and I didn't have time to review it. And I go, you got it 3 days ago. So, you know, be careful what you say in the casting room, right? So when they show up unprepared, Lori, it's painful. You know, it's frustrating. 3 days for a little tiny read is like, to me, it's like, well, this must not be important to that guy, right?
Kind of sends a message.
It sends a message, right? The other reason why actors don't get booked is because they don't follow direction in the casting room, or in this case, it could be a Zoom call. So a lot of times actors, when they go to memorize, they're so worried about memorization. And I'm going to try to strip you of that and some of the tips that we're talking about today. And that is knowing your character, more importantly, is going to help you get that job versus memorization. If you're trying to memorize and then you come into the room and I just give you a different direction, and trust me, it happened to me when I was starting out, right? I was so worried about knowing my lines, which is important, but it's more important to know your character. And we're going to talk more about that here in a second. But you got to be able to know the character. That way, when you hear direction, you can adapt and adjust. Make sense?
Yeah.
So those are just a few of the reasons why actors don't get booked, other than the fact that there's things you cannot change. You're just not the right type, you know? So I think it's important when actors see a casting notice, and this is worth writing down, is know your type. Know if you are a leading man or if you're a character player. There's nothing wrong with either. In fact, character actors work more often. But if you don't know what those look like, Google it. I mean, you guys are so lucky to be doing this now and you have the internet. I didn't have the internet when I got started. You know, okay, I'm totally dating myself, but who cares? You know, so,
True.
you know, lean into that and get those questions answered that you might have, right? So those are a few reasons why people don't get booked. And hopefully I'm gonna bring my slideshow back and I'm gonna show you some other tips and audition techniques that could help that could help you guys out. All right, so I'm just gonna give you 5 major tips and we'll dive deeper here in a minute into some of them. But we talked about having the right tools. And the right tools are a solid professional LA caliber headshot. Why does it have to be LA caliber? Well, and I'd say about 80 to 85% of my clients that hire us for casting come from LA. So if they're used to a certain standard of headshots and they have to look like a professional actor because that's what they're used to, then wouldn't it behoove you to get a LA caliber headshot and spend the right amount of money? Now keep in mind, it's an investment. Hopefully your first decent job of booking is going to pay for that and then some. So get over the idea of spending, you know, $300, $400, $500 on a headshot from a good LA photographer. Know that one job can pay $1,500 in one day, or it could pay $300 in a day. But you got to look at it as an investment. If you want those good jobs, get the right tools. And then obviously audition training. That's why you're here tonight. Understand the types of auditions that are out there because there are a myriad of types of auditions we're going to talk about here in a minute. And then master the self-taped auditions or be willing to hire somebody for the right jobs. Like you're like, hey, this is really good. I need a scene partner. I need some coaching. Call us. We'll help you. And then be vigilant on marketing and communication. Meaning, here's an example, Lori. This has just happened literally last week. I had a casting notice go out for corporate types, and thank you, by the way. I saw that you shared that. And so there's one gentleman, and sweet as ever, love the guy, but I said in all my responses to the right people, I'm like, you know, if I know that this person's got a chance at this, please check your email often. Okay, because things happen so fast in casting, you guys. That's another reason I should add to my why you didn't get booked. You might have missed it because you weren't checking your email diligently. Anyway, so this person, I needed a quick selfie because again, most of the time now they know how easy it is to get your phone out and tape a quick video. They just want to see how you move on camera, and it's called proof of look, guys. Proof of look is basically to say, oh, this headshot isn't 10 years old. He looks like his headshot. Okay, cool. Let's bring him in. You see? And so I asked for the video and 3 or 4 days went by. And thank God he still got in because she saw his photo. She liked his look so much. She's like, any video from him? I'm like, no, not yet. She's, well, go ahead and book him this time. That doesn't happen all the time. So you have to understand the timing of casting is pretty quick. So if I reply, keep watching your email. There's a reason. Okay. So then, you know, when you're checking your email and your platforms like SF Casting or any other platforms that you might be registered on, you're going to have, like Haley mentioned earlier, you're going to have the early bird gets the worm scenario happening more for you than not. Number 2, prepare for different audition types. Know what they are, experience them, practice them, get coaching on them. And an interview sounds easy, right? And can I pick on you, Lori?
Sure.
Lori, go ahead and tell us real quick a little bit about yourself.
Well, I just started acting last year, and I'm looking for the perfect lead role. But I'm not taking any classes. Do you think I could?
Okay, now you're in trouble. No kidding. She's funny, guys. I did not tell her she was going to be doing this, but one of the key things not to do in an interview is to talk about being an actor. But that was good. You set it up perfectly. The other thing is, you notice how she did a list of things, this and this, and actually most people do more. They're like, I'm a legal secretary. I've got 3 kids. I you know, because it feels weird. So there's an interview style that you need to learn. And I always suggest, you know, just create and it should be real to you, but not memorized, a story and be ready to talk to it. Well, I love to horseback ride. And the other day I was riding with some girls in a drill team at a rodeo and I fell off face in the dirt. It was awful. It was embarrassing. But you know what? I got back up on that horse. You know, like it could be something like that. Because at the end of the day, when we're seeing hundreds of people do a quick video about themselves and I would say 85 to 90% says the same thing. They will do a list like Lori started, and I cut her off, or they'll talk about acting, which I already know you're an actor. So why do something everybody else is going to do? Why not stand out? So that's your first tip on interviewing. And then there's the improv. Improv training is priceless. You got to get it, folks. The Comedy Spot downtown Sacramento is one of my favorite places. I love it. They've got, you know, different types of improv training, but really what it does is it tears down the walls of inhibitions, right? Where, when I get into my private coaching, I'm going to tell you, I go a little deeper than just your basic acting technique. I go into the psyche. What's going on with you? How does nerve show up for you? And we do a whole lot of conversation around that so I can help you break down the ego. Because what happens is the ego wants to make you look good and protect you from looking stupid or embarrassing yourself and say the right thing. So that your ego goes to look good and be right. Well, if you're trying to look good and you're trying to be right, how are you present? Especially when you're supposed to dictate a humanity like Haley talked about and show authenticity and transparency. How is that possible? Right? But you gotta, that is practice and it's accountability. So that's why I like doing private one-on-one coaching is Lori, I can't even tell you, man, we'll have to sit down and talk about these stories I have of people having this aha moment, you know?
Well, you know, one of the things that struck me and then I think is important to anyone who's going to speak at all is be honest. If you're not honest and talking truthfully, you got to make it interesting like you did. That was
Yes.
a great story
It's
to
so
incorporate.
true.
But, you know, you have to be honest. And I think that that's where a lot of actors will buffer their experience and much less their resume to show, you know, that they've done more than they have. And that's just putting you in a position of uncertainty. You're never going to be able to, you know, meet that if you're not telling the truth. So
well, that is where having we're going to talk about cold read and warm read next. That is having the script analysis and character breakdown that we're going to talk about, building the character. I will be able to see right through the resume's purpose is to get your foot in the door. And so, yeah, if they're embellishing, not good, because I'm going to see it in the room. I'm going to see it. I'm going to see it in your self-tape. I know I've been doing this for 21 plus years. And then prior to that, had my own acting career. So I think that people need to be real and they need to recognize, hey, if I want to work in commercials, I got to get commercial training. If I want to work in film, I got to get scene study, right? So where you learn cold read, which is separate than warm read, there's different techniques you would use by looking at a script for the first time and being able to translate the character's truth, right? So getting back to that truth, yeah, as an actor, that's your job, is to tell the truth of the character, right? And to be real and authentic. Now, once you're in the room or you're on set and the director gives you different direction, your goal of an audition is to get the job, you guys, okay? Once you have it, now it's working with the director and what does he want her or him to be, right? And then creating, we're going to talk about that character development, creating the rationale of why this person is the way they are. So cold read and warm read techniques are very different. And you need to understand if it's a warm read, Lori, what does that mean? What is a warm read?
You're going to be familiar with the content.
Absolutely. Does it mean memorization?
No,
it doesn't. And I think people need to understand that is a fine line. Okay. I still want you I'm not like this gentleman who said, I don't know this very well. I've been busy. I didn't have a chance to look at it. I just got it, whatever. Hey, if I sent it to you 3 days ago, my expectations are up here for your read.
Yeah.
I'm ready to have my mind blown. Okay. And if you come in and read it flat and read it 100% off the paper versus maybe 10%, it's a technique you have to learn of trusting yourself with practice. And then also reading ahead enough to, like, if I had to glance down, I'm still very present in the scene. You know what I mean? So that's where it gets fun. I love scene study. It's so much fun. So with our private sessions that I do one-on-one, but I also am opening up to having two people who want to do scene study in person once a month, once or twice a month. So we'll be doing that. But that's where it's about trusting your choices, right? So we're going to get to that in a second. I'm getting ahead of myself, as usual. So then there's self-taped. Self-taping auditions versus in person. That's a technique we want to make sure you understand. I offer that. That's a whole separate class, as you know, Lori. It's a process to understand lighting, audio, backdrop, all that stuff, and then of course monologues. Why monologues? Now, when you say monologues, what do you think? Do you think of on camera, or do you think of stage?
Uh, Typically stage. That seems to be where a lot of those come from.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah,
it's true. And you may not use it nearly as often on camera as you would on stage, but an actor should still have that in their tool belt. I call it the tool belt. But you know, when you have a commercial or lighthearted comedic slash type of monologue versus dramatic, serious, those are two contrasting monologues. The reason why you want to get ahead and do those before it's requested of you is because of this one thing, and that is when I request a monologue, either a link, like you've already worked on it, polished it, recorded it, and it lives on your YouTube page, either a link or in person at the audition, I expect to see your best work. Your monologue has to reflect your best work. And if you just heard about it today and it's Tuesday and you need to come in on Friday with a monologue audition, I guarantee it's not going to be your best work. You need time to dive deep and to rehearse and study and marinate in the character in order for it to be your best work. So that's the difference with on camera. Now, you're probably only going to use that occasionally, but I'll tell you when I like to see monologue auditions, and when I request them to my clients, is usually for films that are very complex characters and they evolve quite a bit during the entirety of the script. So if I offered you two different scenes, I might get an idea of how you play that, but that doesn't necessarily show me. You're not gonna. There's no way for you to understand this character fully unless you read the whole script. So then I tell the film director, like, hey, we should, if we have time, let's consider looking at their monologues. And keep in mind, monologues are no longer than a minute, maybe a minute and 30, but most people cut you off at a minute. So just try to strive for a minute. So it's not very long. It's just showing me your choices and how you prepared a character and making it your best work, and two contrasting. So that way, if I'm casting for a comedic film, you're not going to send me a dramatic monologue, right? You're going to send me a comedic, lighthearted monologue.
mm-hmm.
So number 3 is creating and building the character. Do the backstory and learn the technique that works for you and practice it. Now, I'm kind of of the opinion most instructors have the basic idea of character development and acting techniques. We all just kind of maybe reword it a little bit here and there. I might get some slack from that, but you know, it's all pretty much the same. I just like to keep it simple, and a technique that you can replay in your mind in order to overcome the nervousness of auditioning. You know, if you walked in the door, Lori, and I gave you a cold read commercial, you know, you would go through the steps A, B, C, D, the same as you would as a scene, you know? And so if you learn those techniques, you'll be able to apply them and be more successful, even if you're so nervous, you know what I mean? So that's the thing I want you guys to focus on, is learn the technique that works best for you. Work with an acting coach, work with a mentor, get it down, practice, 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 so that it's second nature, you know? And number 4 is understanding a script, because script analysis is key. Meaning, if you came in and read for me in a scene and you were just reading the words, you were just kind of giving me, you know, here's what I look like and how I sound. That's not enough, right? So sometimes the director's watching to see if you get it. And what that usually means is, you know, there's complexity to the character or the scene. There's some, the way it's written is like, maybe there's some sarcasm in there, or banter, playfulness, or anger, underlining anger. You know, let's face it, we as humans are very complex, and our emotions are complex. And what ends up happening is a writer tries to put it on paper, and then after it's passed along to the casting director, then to the actors, the actors have to make these decisions. They could be right or wrong, but make some decisions. Don't just read it. And when they are in the room and the director feels like you're close, or he loves your look and he offers you different direction, and then you read it again the same exact way, he's going to excuse you from the audition, and he's going to look at me and go, "He didn't get it," and you're gone. There's nothing at that point I can do. And that usually happens in the callback, Lori, and it's really frustrating, especially if I know that actor is just, his nerves are getting in his own way, or I know he's capable of it, but he was just so worried about looking good and being right. The ego got in the way. You know what I mean? So it is frustrating, because at that point, when it's at the callback and the director's there, he might ask my opinion, but more often than not, he's very creative, and we live in a creative world, and he's going to make his decision, and you're gone.
You don't get a second chance to make a first impression.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And number 5, be comfortable on camera. So I would say, Lori, that's probably been my biggest pain point this year, going through all these auditions. I've been super busy since June, July, and I mean nonstop. And I really felt it, man. I felt COVID's impact on actors not being in their classrooms or not being on set. And there was a handful or a certain percentage of actors that leaned into the opportunity of training and setting up their self-tape studio at home and being able to practice during those times. But more often than not, I struggled with, and Haley could attest to this, with seeing actors submit stuff that was just like, you could tell they're just rusty. And so there's so much content online. There's no reason why you can't practice and get your camera out, get your light out. When you're reading a cold read to an inanimate object like this coffee mug, and pretend that's the camera. Like, it doesn't have to be a camera. It's just the process, right, that people need to practice. Otherwise, you will be rusty, and it will show up. So the audition types we talked about, I kind of already gave you a little bit of insight on the interview, right? But the improv, when you start really training for improv, you'll see what I'm talking about. We all have a comfort zone, right? And I guarantee you, if I put Lori on camera right now, her comfort zone is like, eek, that's not her forte. She's behind the camera. She's a writer. She's got so many gifts, but being in front of the camera freaks her out.
So I don't have to be in front of the camera. Yeah.
Right. Unless you're doing these talks, but you're just
Yeah, these are hard. These are hard. Actually, very hard.
See? So I would call that a ceiling, right? That your ceiling is not in front of the camera, so you hit that ceiling. And it's kind of like, if you think about it with I'm trying to figure out the analogy here. If you think about it with a ceiling, it's just a material that we just got to push through, and we got to make that ceiling higher. So the way you do, when you do an improv, it's going to just keep pushing to where anything's possible. And I mean, the way I explain it is like, think about this. Will Ferrell, he wouldn't be Will Ferrell, and we wouldn't know his name if he cared what he looked like and how he portrayed himself. He doesn't care. Like, he literally has done so much improv training that it's embedded in his brain to not care and to go all in. And that's why he entertains us. And I mean, I can list hundreds of actors like that, but that's the first one that came to mind. Is you got to do the improv training to help lift that ceiling higher and higher, higher. Just pretty soon, nothing's going to stop you. And in casting, you got to listen. Okay. You have to listen. And when we get nervous, that's why I said right away, when I work with people in my private coaching, I start with, tell me what you feel like, how you show up when you're nervous, what happens, because it's a physical reaction. Sometimes it's breath, sometimes it's talking really fast, other times I can't hear, or I literally have had people look at a piece of paper and like this, and I'm like, just read the lines, and she's just frozen. I go, just read it, honey, it's okay. Okay. I mean, literally, she saw blank. She saw this white piece of paper. It was so sad. And so I felt so bad for her. But when I'm in casting, I'm not a coach then, right? I am wearing my casting hat. We got a lot of people out in the lobby. You got to keep the ball rolling. And I felt bad, but it is what it is. So you got to work through it. It's not impossible. It's very doable, but you got to work through it. Okay. So cold read techniques are very different, I mentioned, than warm read. With cold reading, you have to assess, you have to go through your techniques we talked about that you will learn in a class situation or a training situation. But that is, you learn the process, you practice it, you understand what you're reading, you understand what the content means, what the writer's intention was, right? It's script analysis. Then you go through your 5 W's, you understand what that all means, make decisions. Now you read out loud. I don't care if there was 25 people in this small room. I would still go find a corner and read it out loud in the corner. So I heard myself. Don't wait till you get in front of the camera, in front of the casting director, my casting assistant, my camera operator to say it for the first time out loud, right? So cold read, now you're reading ahead and you're just holding the script just below the camera and maybe to the left a little bit so that my eye can pick up a line and come back to camera. If, for example, it was a spokesperson commercial, right? If it's a scene, you're going to look off camera. But understanding those audition types and how to quickly assess and deliver. Now we know it's still cold read for them, but you know, we're still looking for a certain level of professionalism so that I feel comfortable putting you in front of my client. Make sense?
Yeah. We have a question I wanted to pop in from Thad. How do you start to relax? I know it's a complicated question, but I hear it's the hardest thing to do.
Yeah. Well, Thad, I'll tell you, that is the biggest thing I see in auditions is your ego gets in the way and then your nerves start going, your heart starts racing, your breath starts becoming up here in your chest. So I am very much into the meditative mentality, meaning, 5 to 6 deep, slow breaths in, hold for 2 seconds and slow breath out, maybe to a count of 6. It depends on you. And try that 5 times and watch how you physically feel different. So the breath in, hold for a couple seconds and out for 6 seconds. And then you do that and then you focus on the character. Get away from yourself. You're standing in your own way and you care too much about looking good and being right that you just need to breathe and see the character choices that you made. And then you watch you physically, your breath calms down, your nerves calm down. And then when you look up, you're in character and you honor him, Thad. Don't try to be what you think we want. You try to honor the character and watch him come out. Great question. So warm read is a little different, right? So you now have familiarity to the character. You've dove deeper into the script. So you have better script analysis. And now it's kind of like this, Lori. Could you describe your best friend in 5 words?
If I had to, but no.
You couldn't? Okay. Could you describe me in 5 words?
No, well, yes, you can describe anybody in 5 words. Yes. You get down to the base of that person's their what?
Their personality and you can probably see your best friend's face when you're telling her good news, right? Like how she's responding or reacting or smiling. And it's kind of like that when you develop a character, right? So you develop your character so much. Now, the warm read, this is what I expect, is that familiarity of A, knowing your best friend, how she looks or he looks, or B, yourself. I know myself pretty well. I think you know yourself pretty well. And so you have to have that level of familiarity. And that way the lines do come naturally. So people are, when you step away from the memorization factor, right? And you go lean into the trust factor of knowing your character, understanding your character. And again, this is where, more in-depth training will help, is to break down those processes and the technique. So process cold read is grab the script, read it once, break down the 5 W's, read it out loud, visualize the character, look for script analysis, read it again. You see what I'm saying? Process. And then the technique would be your 5 W's. So that's what happens in coaching, right? Is a coach will eventually, especially if it's one-on-one private coaching. This is where I love private coaching. I love classes too, but private coaching, we get to see and know each other that much to where I know that you can do this differently and better. I'm gonna hold you accountable to that. Or I'm gonna say, hey, did you do your 5 W's? Like, no. I know. You didn't have to even tell me. I knew. So it becomes as like trust, like I know you could do better, and then you trust me. And that's where private coaching and mentorship, if you will, really helps a lot. A classroom, I love classroom teaching as well. For me, it's frustrating because I can see everybody in the room, and I could see the person who's like, like not getting it. And I see this other person go, yeah, you're like getting it.
Yeah.
But I still have to go on because I have an end time. I have to finish the class so everybody can go home by 10 o'clock or whatever,
Yeah.
So for me, I feel it's much more rewarding, and it's kind of a fast track of coaching when you have a mentor or coach who knows what you're capable of. And that's where I like to thrive. And I have a different perspective because I teach from casting as well as production, but also acting techniques. So I can push actors to do things that they probably, that I've seen that they're like, I never knew I could do that. So that's the difference with cold and warm, right? Does that make sense? Where warm, I just have a higher expectation of your familiarity. You're going to know the character more. You're going to pop in a character more. I might be able to work with you on some changes easier as well. If you didn't focus on just memorization, if it's memorization, you're not going to be able to make the adjustment, and the director's going to release you. Okay. And then the monologues we talked about already, having 2 contrasting monologues, and preferably taping them so you can have them available. I mean, you've seen my castings in the last couple of months, Lori, especially since COVID. I mean, it was a little before COVID, but definitely since the pandemic, we asked for a link of your work. Well, that doesn't have to be a demo reel. A demo reel could be very, people are now paying people to put a demo reel together. I don't need that. I just need to see a sampling of your work. And that could be literally a monologue that you record with beautiful light, great audio, all that. And I can, nothing distracting in the background. So doing that, putting that on a YouTube link works just as good, you guys. Okay. And if you can't do it yourself, or you want somebody to coach you and get that polished, you call us. We'll get me or Haley. We'll work with you.
That's perfect answer, because Stan, hi Stan.
Hi, Batista.
Stan just asked, is training or personal coaching available with another actor for a scene? So
Great.
You'll
Yes.
hook him up.
Great question. So what would happen there, Stan, is we would get you and another actor to both sign up for an hour, and then you would send me the scene ahead of time, and we would do a 2-hour session, right? And that way we do scene study, but it's still one-on-one. It's just the 3 of us versus a classroom. So scene study is really cool because you can go into so many different levels and direction. Yeah, that's a great question, because people think I just do the private one-on-one, but really I could still do more than the one person at a time. If you and some friends were working on a scene, you just each get an hour, and we do a 2 or 3 hour session together. So yeah, it's definitely possible. And Stan just got his headshots, Lori. Did you know that? So excited for you, Stan. All right, and then in the self-taping, let's face it, great lighting and audio is important. I got to see you and I got to hear you, but also nothing distracting, guys. And, kind of like Lori and I, we have this frame around us. There's not too much headroom. I'm pretty centered in the camera. You want to be centered. I don't want to see any cats walking behind you. I've had that happen. And let me tell you what happens in casting when we're burning the candle at both ends. Sometimes it's 1 or 2 in the morning, and I have 100 of self-tapes I still have to watch. I mean, I'm a human being. I'm going to be distracted if I see a cute little kitty walking behind you, which I saw yours earlier, by the way, Lori, which is okay. But it's just be cognizant, tell everybody in the household, I'm going to be taping, watch the noise, the background, just distractions. You want to shine. This is your moment to shine. So just watch out for distractions, and that should do the trick.
Yeah. And Adam Weber, or otherwise known as Weber Adam.
Hi,
Hi, Adam wants to know if you do remote coaching.
I do. Most of my coaching right now since COVID has been via Zoom or FaceTime. Some people don't like Zoom. So absolutely, dude, give me a call. I'd love to work with you. It's been a while. And then we do have a location that we can do once a month. So I have different abilities of coaching programs if they're all on my website. But one of them is for advanced, it's called the Advanced Talent Program. And for those, I do weekly on Zoom and then once a month in person if you want that. But I mean, it's been very effective, especially most of the auditions are self-tapes and Zoom calls and callbacks. So I'd love to work with you, Web or Adam. All right, so let's go to slide 6. So we talked about building a character and script analysis, right? And I don't want to just skim over that. This is really important stuff. Now that you know the audition types, and when you get a script, whether it's for a commercial and it's spokesperson right down the barrel of the camera, or if it's a scene with another actor. And that's why we're doing the in-persons once a month now with my advanced students, because I want them to be reminded of the blocking, like how to cheat to camera when there's another person in the room, because I need to see your face, right? So that's where the in-person is also very helpful to do, but super effective on Zoom as well. But building a character in script analysis is probably my biggest point I like to drive home. And that is because there's a myth of like, hey, listen, I'm a natural, and they read every role the same. And now let's face it, there are the Sam Elliott's of the world that can pull that off. But that's few and far between. You want to be a working actor, meaning
kind of limiting your casting perspective if they're only going to be looking for someone that acts like you.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it only goes so far. It has helped in some castings and some jobs that you don't have to stretch yourself. But again, in my advanced talent program, which you do have to audition to get in, so just don't go and sign up for that on my website. But if you audition, you get in. That's one of the things I'm stretching people on. I have a YouTube link I'd like Steve to share for me. This is a testimonial. You can click on this, open a tab, and save it for later if you want. But the Daniels family is an example of this, because Kendrick Daniels is the father of, now, let's see, how many kids? He has 4 kids, so family of 6. And he first got booked through Forcier Casting on the for the Elk Grove Auto Mall job in 2019. There's the link right there. That's a testimonial him and his wife put together for me. They have been repeatedly signing up for the Advanced Talent Program because they're getting work. They've grown so much. I've helped them get an agent. They are amazing, because when Kendrick came in, I mean, he has a great look, but he was willing to learn and hungry. And then a year later, after I booked him on Elk Grove Auto Mall, I booked the whole family. At the time was a family of 5 on the Golden One commercials, which is still airing because it got put on delay because of COVID. So they shot that right before COVID, and the pandemic shut everything down. And I'll tell you what, this is to the point of me being flexible and working with you based on your needs. They have a family of 5, and we'll do an hour and a half session. And I split it up amongst all their kids and mom and dad. And they're just amazing. But I think that goes to show you how my style is and the benefits of having that type of coaching. Now, he's a good example of that natural guy. If you watch his testimonial, Lori, he is, I mean, just charming, energetic. It's contagious. But that only goes so far, because he now wants to branch into TV and film and doing those serious roles. So commercials have come a little bit easy for him because he's bold and courageous, but he wants to get into TV and film. And now we're working on stretching him into these characters that I'm like, it's really even hard for me to fathom that he would read the, I like, are you sure you could say this? And he's like, yep, let's do it. Like, because he's committed. And so it's really cool to watch actors evolve and grow. And that's what you can do with dedication, you guys. And I don't even care who it is, just get somebody that's in your corner who knows how they can help you understand these elements. So getting back to building a character, when you build it in depth, I want you to be specific doing your backstory, like, this character grew up in a household of 6 kids, and she was the last kid, and she ended up having, hand-me-downs from 4 other siblings, and they were lucky to be able to have a hot meal, like, just do. And then at age 10 this happened, and at age 18 that happened, and that's who made her who she is. You see what I'm saying? Like, go all the way back. And a real story, true story, when I worked on did casting for Smokin' Aces, just on some of the roles that shot out of Lake Tahoe when they filmed here years ago. But I got a chance to meet Ryan Reynolds. Did you know this?
Oh, no.
He's so awesome. He's still one of my favorites. And I'll tell you what, he's cream of the crop. I got to meet Common. I didn't even know who Common was at the time because he was just a rapper, and Smokin' Aces was his first job. But when I met Ryan, of course, I'm like, and I don't get starstruck, but that guy is amazing. And so we were filming in Lake Tahoe, South Lake Tahoe. And we were doing a little kickoff party before at Harrah's, I think. And I just went up and I'm hungry too, just like you guys, you at home. I want to know, like, how do you develop your characters? This is,
Yeah.
20 years ago. And he's like, you know what? I do the backstory all the way back to when I was a kid, and he said, because in that movie, he's a detective. He goes, when my character was 8 years old, he saw a horrific accident, and that person didn't get punished, and he grew up, and so he had all these details, right? So detail is your best friend when building that character. Understanding who he or she is going to help you portray them, because it's going to come out as truth, and the best way to describe that is look at yourself. How much have you been through? What did you have to go through to be who you are today? And when you have triggers of anything that strikes you emotionally, whether it's good or bad, why? Where'd that come from? So I think self-analysis is really important. So when I coach, I go into that direction. I'm like, hey, look, let's add, first I'll let you come up with all your choices, but I might challenge you, and I might say, well, what about trying this or trying that? And then eventually it evolves, and it's like, oh my gosh, it's amazing. And so when you make the mistake that you're not going in depth, what the way I see it in the room, in the casting room, is you lose consistency, and I can't follow you any longer. And you don't take direction. And that's when I know I could tell you right now where you failed. You didn't do enough backstory. You just read it and made it sound good and repeated yourself a million times. That's not enough.
Got the words right. You just got the words right.
Yeah, exactly. You got to build the character, and you have to know him or her and why she says it. And that way, if you do mess up a line, you recover easily because you know what the point is. You see, right? So it doesn't matter about word perfection at that point. It matters about, again, maybe in the shoot it will, but your job is to get booked, get the job, right? You got to get at the audition. That's the primary goal. And then understanding the script. You guys do your research, man. Like, seriously. I had a friend that did an audition for a 1960s bartender in San Francisco in the gay district. And he did all this research and dressed the part, sounded the part. Like, you have the internet, use it, right? And he showed up, and to the directors, it was like, that's him. That's him. He didn't need to say a darn word. You know what I mean? So when you do your research, especially, for film that's based on any kind of historical events or products, understand if it's Bank of America, what are their colors? What have they done in the past? Do your research and then read between the lines. Understand the subtle cues that the writer wrote. Because guess what? Lori, you'll attest to this. They write it for a reason. Right?
Yep.
So when you know what the writer's intention was, so it's not on this slide, but you can write this down if you're taking notes. Understand the writer's intention. And when you understand the writer's intention, and not just in generality, but every moment, let's face it, when we say a line, we think the thought first. What am I thinking and not saying? So that's called the inner monologue. I want to be able to let my inner monologue drive the line, or what am I trying not to say equally as important. And when you get that, and the director sees you get that, right, you're gonna get the job. So your goal is to fly to the top of the list and show them that you understand the script, you understand the subtle cues, you have made decisions about the character, but keep thinking of it as like a wet piece of clay, right, Lori? It's not gone in the kiln yet, so it's still, I can adapt and adjust, but it's pretty firm. I see where it is. But I need to listen to the casting director or the director and go, oh, wait, hold on, and come down here and tweak, tweak, tweak. Okay, now I'm ready. So one big note I want to share with you, and let me just make sure I'm okay. One big note I want to share with you before we move past this slide is if you listen and you get the idea and you know you need to adapt and adjust, take the moment, guys. Don't make us in the casting room feel like you're ready and you're really not. So tell me, can I have a minute? If I just gave you a totally different direction, Lori, would you mind if you were in a meeting and you just gave new information and you're like, do you agree? And somebody's like, would you mind if they go, can I just hold on one sec? I mean, does that bother you?
You know what? I think that's actually a really important point to make, because too often, not just in auditions, but in life, when people ask us a question, we feel like we should instantly have an answer. And there is nothing wrong with saying, that's a good question. Let me give that some thought.
Absolutely.
And
I think, yeah.
Respect than somebody that just hurls into words that don't say anything.
Yep. And I could see it all the time. They're like, yep, I'm ready. Let's go. And I'm thinking to myself, I would take a minute, but okay, you're ready. I'm going to believe you. So when you have the light on, the camera on, other strangers in the room, that changes your timeline. It kind of goes back to another point that might be helpful for those watching. And that is when you take a pause and you're nervous, you think you're pausing, it may show up as a half a second to us, but it may feel like 2 or 3 seconds to you.
Yeah.
So I think that's another element that changes in the audition room is you think you took a minute, but really take a minute. Like, okay, just 1 second. Hold on, let me just wrap my head around that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to appreciate it.
It's new information. No one is going to judge you badly on that at all.
No.
We have a question from Tyler. Hi, Tyler.
Hi, Tyler.
Tyler McDonald, even if you prepare for that audition, what is the casting director might think that the person auditioning dresses for the role at the time of the audition? Do they feel it benefits the actor or not so much? So you're talking about how they dress, or
maybe dressing for the part?
Dressing for the part specifically. Yeah. Okay, yeah.
So yeah, Tyler, I think you should always dress the nuance of the part. Just don't overdo it. Let some creative juices flow in my mind and the director's mind, and try to see you maybe, I see you in a totally different suit, but you have a suit on, so just, I guess the best example I could say is if you're coming in to play a doctor, don't go out and buy a stethoscope and a lab jacket, just dress as a professional man, right? If you're supposed to be kind of, a bum and, you got to come in all disheveled and, dress the essence of the role for sure. Just don't overdo it and go to getting props. Cause sometimes, honestly, I've seen props throw people off, It's been, it's been interesting to see how they think that's going to help them and it actually becomes cumbersome,
Yeah.
So if we want you to have a prop, we're going to give it to you. So we did a casting, going back to the Golden One casting last year, 2020, we wanted the family to be sitting there looking like they're watching a movie and eating popcorn. So I brought popcorn, like those little things you get at the store, popcorn on them. I bought 2 or 3 of those. I had a little cart and I did one for Rayleigh's. I had like one of those little small, baskets. And so we'll provide props if we feel like it's important. But, for showing up wardrobe wise, just the essence is plenty.
Good.
Okay. All right. So the last thing I said here is just practice out loud as if in the room. I mean, again, people just read it over and read it in their minds. If they practice, it's going to help them maybe catch on to some of the script notes and subtle cues that you may not see just by reading, so that's why I have that there.
Yeah.
Okay, so to wrap it up, I mean, we got through a lot already, but I got just a couple more things I want to share. Is just to remind you guys to promote yourselves, right? Practice, network, have the right tools, and just be courageous. Put yourself out there. And when in doubt, submit. So if you think that you might be right for something, then submit. If you're like, oh, well, I mean, and this is where I said earlier, I don't want to conflict what I said earlier, which is know your type. Well, I mean, like if you're not, if I'm asking for 40 to 60-year-old men and you're 29, don't submit, like that's a bit of a stretch. We see that all the time, but, only because my process is I'm very much hands-on. I open up every email. I look at every photo. I look at every resume. So just submit to what you're right for. And the biggest thing is to also register so that you're in our database. If you're in our database, we see you 100% of the time. You're getting word first and foremost of all of our casting notices. If you're usually hearing about our castings through Lori, thank you, Lori, or my social pages, you might be missing out because they don't always get those. I'd say probably only 70, maybe 70% of the castings we do, you hear about on social media, or I ask friends to share. Otherwise, we just go to our database. The other thing is you get perks. We do free classes. We just did a free commercial class in October for our registered talent. And once you register, you're part of a welcome 30-minute free class, which just helps you to meet us, ask any questions. And we do that all Zoom. So it makes it as easy as possible. And then I did include a photo here of Kendrick Daniels. So that YouTube link, I don't know if Stephen, you could share that again. That'd be cool, or Lori, in case you missed that. This is Kendrick Daniels. I clipped this from an actual self-tape he submitted to. And this gives you, thank you for that, Lori. This gives you an idea that I kept mentioning through the class, which is good lighting and good, subtle background, nothing distracting even in his outfit, right, Tyler? So, it's very subtle, but the nuance is there, so great lighting, good audio, nothing distracting. That's the image I wanted to share with you guys. And then, just want to open it up to any questions that you guys might have. And here's all my website. If you want to go back real quick. Here you go. That's my website, forciacasting.com. You'll find the coaching. Before we move on to questions, the coaching I didn't really cover. I offer a 1 hour, and then I offer a 4-session package where that's discounted per session. 4 1-hour sessions we can do once a week for 4 weeks or whenever. Some people buy 4 sessions and just get the discount and they use it, for upcoming auditions. I also provide self-taping via Zoom or in person self-taping assistance where I coach and help you film so you can send off your audition for a big job. And then also the Advanced Talent Program. Please email me your headshot and your resume if you want to be considered for that. I only work with a select few, and I can only do so many per month because I also do casting and producing. So it's a really good opportunity for you guys. Lori, it's always fun to work with you, and and I love our community. I love how I've been seeing it grow so much in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
You're a big part of the reason why that is the case. So thank you for all your work.
Well, you know what? It takes a village, and we've said that all along. And the CFAA alone, we have 12 board members who are, work to keep all of the wheels of the train on the track.
Yeah.
But it's truly, again, we're all at a point of the road where there's some opportunities that we'll be seeing. And I really just want to encourage everyone to expand their skills and their training, because when the opportunity hits and we hear stories back that say, oh my God, that crew, that cast was so amazing, it just makes us all so proud, because we know that they're going to be saying the same thing, and we're going to be bringing more business back to this area. So that's what we all really
thank you,
doing.
Yeah, and I will agree. I kind of flip my hat over to the production side of things. Oh, hi, Hillary. Thank you, William Marks too. I will say this: I love when I go out to casting. I love trusting my team. I have a great team. Haley's spearheading it now, but when I go into production, it's the same thing. I care what these people say about Sacramento when they pack up and head back to LA. I care that they say, "Wow, Sally, your talent was amazing," and I'm there on set. You know, we just did a casting, a big casting actually for that we shot at Golden One Center, my second time filming there in September, and we had a bunch of newbies. And I'll tell you, when you working with pros versus new people, it really shows up. And we end up having great success. But it's always nice to send those LA crew back, going, you know, singing our praises. So that is what it's all about. And Lori knows well enough, you guys, that I care about our reputation. Her and I both struggle and fight for keeping that reputation as best it can be. And you being here tonight is also showing us that that is important to you as well. It does take a village, and for us to keep the attitude and the perspective that Sacramento has great talent and they have great crew, then it takes a village of us all doing our part, like you said, Lori. And for me, I'm the same way. When I start slowing down towards this time of the year, I'll tell you what, man, I'm learning. I'm doing my own learning. I'm getting my hold of my business coach, and I lean into the time I have to do the things I need that carries me through the rest of the year. And so, you know, actors should be doing the same way. And, you know, I should offer, you know, just because the CFAA is so special to me, I will offer you guys a discount if you sign up today for a 1-hour consultation. You're going to have to email me first because it's not on my website. Just use the code CFAA21. How's that, Lori?
That's awesome. I'm already putting it in the link here.
And
That's
that way you guys can
amazing.
get either a consultation, hour coaching. You know, you just tell me what you're looking to do, and I'll knock off 20% for anybody that has that code. And also, if you're looking to buy a gift certificate, or you want a gift certificate for future training, tell your loved one they can just email me through my website, and let them know that I want to get a gift certificate for my actor thespian family member, and I can get something printed out for you guys. So if that's what you want for Christmas, Santa's still coming.
That's a great idea. And you know how many people, when they go, honey, what do you want for Christmas? What's on your list? Now
Yeah.
you all have something that you can virtually say, I know exactly what I want.
Yes. Yeah. Trust me, I know.
That keeps giving.
I have to share this now that we're on that note. Listen, guys, I know what it's like to not be able to, like, this is not necessarily a necessity, and you know, other bills trump this kind of thing. So I get it if times are tough. I lived it too. Because when I first got started, I was first hired, Lori. I think you might have known this, but I first got hired as an extra, and then I got bumped to stand-in. And I worked on 3 movies, one with Tony Danza, one with Jamie Sheridan, and oh, I can't even think of her name now. And then one with Pamela Reed, who plays the mom of Leslie Knope on Parks and Rec. And also Patrick Swayze. And so I got to work with all these people for, like, you know, 6 weeks in a row. And I'll tell you, I came back like bit by the bug big time. And we didn't have extra funds to go out and get training. I was just
Was
a
that
youngster.
local? Were those productions local? Where were they?
They were all here.
Wow.
Yeah, it's back when you know, the other casting director was here. And I went down, so I went down to a casting call. They called me for an extra, then they bumped me at 11 p.m. to be on set at 6 a.m. to be standing for like 3 weeks on my first job. And I just like, I got to do this. I just knew. I'm like, this is what I want to do. And I was a youngster, but I tell you what, we didn't have the extra funds. I remember going to get a cup of coffee and taking the change and putting it in a jar, and like doing what I could. So I get it. It's sometimes hard, but if that's what you want to do, you got to just figure out a way and find the right person that can help you. And yeah, so that's why I'm passing on a savings to you and a good spirit of Christmas. And And thank you to you, Lori, and all your folks that are watching tonight.
Well, that's a very generous offer, and I appreciate that, because the thing too is that's something you can, you can use that when you have the time to focus. You can get the discount, get it all taken care of now, and then schedule it for
Yeah,
sometime later in the year.
exactly. You don't have to do it this month. You can do it next month, but just
Yeah.
use that code. I'd love to work with you. I'm always looking to grow our database. And I'll be honest, this database is so amazing. We're getting clients who are like, hey, I saw so-and-so on your database, because clients could see your photo and your first name. So you might be driving more casting work to everybody else by having your profile on there. And then that helps exposure. I mean, that's what we started the whole night with, is how are they going to be able to book you if they don't know who you are or how to find you? So you got to get yourself out there and have great photos. With these amazing phones that Lori just got, a brand new, beautiful phone with a new camera, you could take some pretty great photos to get you started. So don't let that stop you.
Yeah.
Yes, eventually get a LA caliber headshot, but just get started. That's the key.
Yeah.
How do you build a snowman?
Well, you know what? You need a
One
team.
handful at a time.
Having Sally on your team as one of your advisors, there should be many. You will add them to your, your gathering, your people around you. But that's the best thing that you can do. Steve, hold on. Steve had a question about, is there a way to check to see if we register with your site? I feel like I did prior to Balbos, you're filming with some emails. Check spam also.
Yes, Steve. Hi, how you doing, buddy? I launched this new database last November, so no, you're pretty sure you're not on there. But you can go on my database, click on talent, you'll see who's in the database. You can go through all the photos. But if you didn't do it since November 2020, because that's what I did during COVID, it's built a new database. See, I am invested in my business, and I invested in you guys even when I wasn't working, because I knew we needed it. It was, my old database was so just old and archaic. So Steve, please register, and you'll immediately be invited to our free Welcome to Forcier Casting and Productions class that we're doing on Thursday. So if you register before Thursday, you'll be invited to that class this Thursday. Otherwise, you'll wait until next month in January to get that free 30-minute call with us.
That was a perfect question, Steve. Thank you.
Well done, sir. I just realized, Lori, I have a fun fact.
What?
Look at my banner.
Yeah.
Look at your banner.
Right.
Same colors.
I know.
Black, red, and white. Do you know what this new logo is? What does it look like? What's that red dot doing?
I don't know.
It's like you're looking through the lens of a camera and it's recording.
Oh, of course it is. See?
I know. I'm weird like that. I have to
Hillary
dare to be different.
You got it. Okay, I'm just an idiot. Again,
good job,
I'm
Steve.
an actor, and I don't pretend to be one. And I really prefer to not even be on screen. So.
You're doing great. You're doing great. I have to say, aren't we all very proud of Lori? You guys.
If I had to recite lines and take on a character, I would have a really difficult time with that. As long as I can just be me and be honest, it's
nice.
easy. It's when I have to get into something deeper. So I applaud all of you that do this or that are pursuing this. I think that it is a
not easy,
great way, to, my gosh, that helps you in so many aspects of your life, not just in acting.
Totally.
So your self-development through acting is an incredible thing, but that's a whole nother class. So
yeah.
We will have this. If you have friends that did not get a chance to see this class and they can't believe when you tell them how fabulous Sally is, we'll have this archived on our website and on our YouTube channel. So we'll be able to save this and share it. We are entering 2022. We want you guys on board, and we will do everything we can to bring great education and networking opportunities to all of you. It's just a matter of getting through this,
last chapter of it.
This last chapter of it. So thank you so much. We have coming up nothing for this year. So happy holidays. And I wish you all Merry Christmas and celebrations that hopefully will be a little more open this year than what we've had in the last year. But in the coming year, we're already working on some programs to reinforce the education of our below the line entry level production assistants. And in addition to that, we're going to do a webcast on set safety. So that is going to be really important to everybody, all crafts that are involved in filmmaking, and the people that are going to be sharing that information will be really interesting. So stay tuned for that. You are welcome to at any time go to our website, which is capitalfilmarts.org. You can click a button to sign up for our newsletter, which is about monthly right now, but as it starts ramping up, we'll ramp up the production of the newsletter again. Nobody knows anything about in-person meetings yet. We will be the first ones to tell you when that is a possibility or when something's going on. But we love you. I love you, Sally. I'm so glad that you're here, and this is so nice to be able to really share this information with everybody. And all of you that were here to watch that, we love you too.
Thank you so much. Love you, girl. It was a real honor. I had a blast. Thank you.
Aww, that's so nice. All right, everybody. We'll see you soon.
Bye, y'all. Happy holidays.
Merry everything to you.